This is Dr. Ruben Chen, and welcome to the Vital Signs Podcast. Hello, hi, this is Dr. Ruben Chen, and welcome to another Vital Signs Podcast. I have a very special guest here today. And before we get started, I wanted to do a shout out to Sunrider International. If you have not tried Sunrider International products, Sunrider's amazing botanical products, you have to try them out. One of my favorite products right now, especially with the summer, is our sunscreens and our CC creams. They are SPF 30 and they use natural products. So we don't use any chemicals to help with as a sunscreen barrier, but it's used with natural ingredients for your skin to allow your skin to breathe. That's what Sunrider is known for. And if you want to try more natural products, you can try them out at www.sunrider.com. Also, if you like what you're listening to, you can follow us on Sunrider's YouTube channel and Facebook page and Instagram. So we're all over the place. And for more Vital Signs podcasts, you can check us out there on those social media platforms and anywhere that podcasts are available. So come follow us and check us out. Okay, so we have a special guest here, Natalie, and she has what I think is a really admirable backstory, something that you don't hear a lot of now, but I feel like it's coming more into vogue. But I just want, Natalie, why don't you share a little bit about your story, your background, and how you came to be where you are right now?
Sure. So I think you're referring to the fact that I am a stay-at-home mom. I've been a stay-at-home mom for 15 years.
Yes.
A long time. But I came from a professional background. I had a great career, and this is a decision I made. So let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I am an LA native, went to UCLA, and as many people in LA do, I went into entertainment. So my first job out of college, it really is the career of many people in LA.
I grew up in LA. I know how it is. So
it's a real thing.
It's a thing.
So my first job was at Entertainment Tonight, which is, an icon of entertainment. And I started out and worked my way up until I became a writer there. It's about 7 years. And after that, I left and went to New York and helped to establish the first season of The Rachel Ray Show, wow, which was really exciting to be able to start a show from scratch. And it's still going, which is really exciting.
Rachel Ray, she's big. I mean, it's not like a nobody for sure. Yeah.
No, I definitely, these were, big shows with serious stakes. So currently, I'm a stay-at-home mom, as I said, and I have a blog that I write on mindful living. And I just launched my first sustainable product through a Kickstarter that just wrapped up. So I've been through a big journey from the exciting world of television and then deciding to become a stay-at-home mom. And then I would like to talk to you about kind of the things that led me to creating a blog and becoming an entrepreneur, and why I wanted to add that to the mix.
Yeah. One thing though, I think you're downplaying it, which is to your credit, being at that level in television is not easy. If anybody has been in LA, everybody wants to be in television and in Hollywood. It is one of the most cutthroat, competitive industries out there. And to be at the level that you were out at took probably years of effort, lots of dedication. It was not a small thing to be at that level.
It was not. I worked very, very hard because there is, like you said, there is always somebody who is waiting for your spot. Someone who is going to work longer hours, someone, will do whatever it takes to get there. So after I finished my job, I would stay after work and cut pieces and for free until that moment arrived. That's what you do. That moment arrived when there was a girl who went on maternity leave and I had been cutting pieces for about a year on my own time, and I got to be moved up. And yeah, it's an intense, especially the shows that I was on too. Entertainment sounds frivolous, but it's not. In LA, it's a serious business.
It's a big
Um,
one.
it is. And these were both daily shows that we worked on. So we're working on time constraints. At 1 o'clock, that show is feeding out, and sometimes events are happening, and it is a high pressure, high stress place to be. But I worked my way up, and I was making good money, and I had a secure job. The people at Entertainment Tonight, one of the producers had left to go start Rachel Ray, and that's how I was taken along to go to start to Rachel Ray. So I had friends in high places. I was established with some of the higher ups. So I had a position that I could have stayed at. But I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom for a couple of reasons. Number one was I just thought I had a lot to offer. I am an organized person. I was a hard worker. I had been able to navigate this, difficult space and competitive place. And I
Mhm,
just felt like I had a lot to offer. I think a lot of people probably would feel that way. And
mhm.
I also recognized, however, that while I was good at handling lots of things, it took a lot out of me. And when I thought about adding children to the mix, I just didn't like the picture that I was seeing. I didn't want to live just barely hanging on. I didn't want for
Yeah.
that to be the life that I had, and the memories that I had, and the experience that my children had of me, that my husband had of me, that I had of the world. And so it almost was the only decision that I could see that felt right to give me the life that I wanted to feel. Do you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was really about how my life was going to feel.
Did you plan your children, or was this something that you had been planning for a while to step away when you had children? How did this come about?
Yeah, I actually did. I planned that at 30 years old that I was going to work
Mhm.
until I was 30, and
Okay.
regardless of what was going on, that was going to be the time. And in fact, that was right when we moved to New York. My husband is also in television, and so he was
Mhm.
also working on Rachel Ray. We met at Entertainment Tonight, so we were
Okay.
both in television.
So you know the
And
industry well. Both of you guys know the energy and the dedication it takes to be there.
very true. And it is so very helpful to have a spouse that can understand some of those commitments that it takes. But we had moved to New York, and that's about when I hit 30 years old. And in fact, I worked until my water broke. I was pregnant that whole first season. Yep. And just till the bitter
Because
end.
you're dedicated. That's what it takes. So
And yeah, I was actually in the edit bay editing some promos for the next day's show. Yeah, and then that was it, and I left. But it was definitely planned. I'm a very planned and organized person in general.
mhm,
So yeah, it was something that I was crafting and thinking about. And that's why I decided to become a stay-at-home mom, because like I said, it was really about designing my life. I had been able to accomplish professionally and personally a status that I was proud of. And
mhm,
now looking at this next phase of my life, I really wanted to plan it out in a way that was going to bring me the most happiness and joy.
mhm.
And that
Now,
meant stay home.
I'm sure you get this question a lot, but when you stepped away, did you have any regrets, or do you feel like you let it all out on the workplace, or there's did you still have that little bit of hunger to go back? What was your feeling?
Oh, okay, this is where it all came in. I didn't expect to feel that loss of self, the loss of self that I did feel
Mhm,
when I left work. When you are working, and especially in a place like that where you move up, you're you get outside validation. You are validated by how much you get paid. You're validated by being able to move up. You're validated by your boss saying things to you. And when I left and went home, all of a sudden my story was gone.
Mhm.
I was felt like I was interesting and exciting because I worked in television. I was a television writer. That was what was so fantastic about me.
It's
And I
like your
was
identity.
completely, it
Yeah.
was a complete identity loss. So now if I don't have that anymore, what is interesting about me? I also didn't anticipate. I'm a driven person, you know. I was That's how I made my way up, was by putting in those extra hours, not having somebody tell me how to do it, but just by going the extra mile. And I liked that sense of accomplishment. I always have. Um, and I didn't really know how to find that in my new place or what I was about. And I didn't want to go back to television
Mhm.
because it not only was not compatible with the vision that I had for my life and with children, it was just, it's a
Mhm.
very intense job. Um,
Yeah, sounds like it.
it
I
really is.
I have I mean, I can understand. I have colleagues of mine who are medical doctors and women medical doctors. I My hat's off to them always because they have to negotiate their life in a really complicated way. And they became medical doctors because they work hard, long hours, and that's what it takes to be a doctor. But
Mhm.
I can see a few of my friends. They ended up, I would say, early retirement
Mhm.
to raise children because, like you said, it's not just having kids, but there's definitely a quality of life thing that has to be added to the picture. And long hours at work and then long hours at home, because home is a 24/7 thing.
It
At
doesn't
least at
pause.
work, you get money, you can get benefits, but at home, it is a 24/7. We've got 5 kids. My
Oh,
wife, yes. So, and she worked all the way up until our 3rd one was born, and it was just then, once they outnumbered us in the home, she needed she needed to stay at home and help man that ship. So um so tell me about, because this is really interesting and it's something that probably isn't talked about a lot, because there's beauty in staying at home, but coming from a career and having that change in identity, that's significant, and I've seen that a lot, and it's a tough transition.
yeah, it really was. And for me, I kind of feel like I was just brought back down to my basics. I just didn't even know what I was interested in, what made me happy. It was I felt like I was just kind of starting from scratch, rebuilding an entirely new identity. And I didn't want to just have a new identity as mom. It was more about getting in touch with myself. Um, and so this is actually the name of the blog that I started. Is called My Source Life. And that's
Mhm.
what it was about. It was going back to the source and figuring out what it was that made me happy, that sparked my joy, that brought me alive, that I was passionate about. Aside from what everybody else was thinking, oh, you should be in television. That's all, the most exciting. I just needed to quiet all of that and figure out what I was about. And I started with my health because I just wanted to start from a place of feeling my best. So that was like my foundation. I started juicing, I started running. Along that road, I became vegan. I've been vegan for over 10 years. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
That's not
and
easy. I'm gonna throw that out there because I have vegan patients and I have vegan friends,
yeah,
and most people who are vegan are what I call
junk
social
food.
vegans,
Okay,
if you
right.
understand,
Sure.
or a weekend vegan or something like
Yeah.
that, where they're vegan out and about, but at home they'll sneak in like pepperoni pizza or something like that.
I call that plant-based. You're plant-based and then you eat other things. This was one of the things I went to, one of the first things that I did for just for me. When I was in New York, I went and attended a health supportive culinary school. So I did their chef's training program so that I
Wow.
knew how to do it right. I wanted to be sustainable. I wanted for it to make me feel better, not, have me wither away and not get the nutrients I needed, et cetera, et cetera. So that was the first step that I took that was for me only, which was an incredible experience beyond learning how to cook. Just meeting with other people, just the figuring out my capabilities, with this new me. And then I also started writing. I obviously am a writer, and that's how I communicate. And I just started writing essays. They didn't go anywhere. I wrote them, I put them in a little folder in my computer, but all about my honest feelings that I was experiencing. Almost kind of just like a diary. Just being frustrated about figuring out dinner, or just having had enough that the children were doing this and that, and just needing dad to take them out. Whatever it was that I was feeling, I wrote on all kinds of stuff. And it was just kind of a way for me it was me talking to myself, trying to work out everything. Because I had a lot of guilt about not being fulfilled at home, being a stay-at-home mom. I had decided this. This was my decision. I made it happen. And now I'm here and I'm not fully loving it. It was hard to admit to other people. It was hard to admit to myself.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I've seen it with my wife, and I've seen it with other colleagues and other family members. It's tough because it's something you want to have kids, and you want to raise them the best that you can. And especially women who come from a professional background, it sounds like you attacked motherhood in the same way as you attacked your professional life, and you researched it and tried to find the best ways to go about it. But it's difficult, and it's still a major transition. One of the other things my wife would tell me all the time was, in her professional life, she had people to talk to. But all of a sudden, when you have a baby, that's just you and something that doesn't really say very much, and communicates in a very different way. And that's also tough.
Even when we would have play dates with other moms, what you find is really, you get a little snippet of conversation, but you're really dealing with the child. Sometimes you can't even complete a conversation because you're just constantly sidetracking to deal with whatever's going on with the child. And I also, a big thought of mine is these are the memories. You're making your memories right now. When you're older, these are the memories you have. I did not want my memories of my life or the experience of my life to be filled with angst and anxiety and dissatisfaction all of the time. I wanted to be enjoying every moment of my children. They're going to be growing. They grow so fast. I really wanted to be present for it all. So trying to balance all of that, find the happiness in me, make sure that I wasn't focusing on just being unhappy, trying to be present for them. This kind of all were the seeds, as I said, to my blog again, which is focused on mindful living and through the lens of my parenting experience. And that's where that came about, was me trying to be present and in the moment so that I could enjoy as much as I could, and then finding what it was that it was missing, that I was missing personally. Because when you become a mom, and even as, stay-at-home mom, you're doing for everybody else. It's always about everybody else. It's about the kids, it's about the house, it's about the chores, it's about the husband. It's all in service. And you can get a little resentful, especially when you feel that you're a very capable person with talents and potential. That's what was, I think, the most frustrating part for me, is that I felt like I wasn't able to express my personal potential. And I think that that's what a lot of moms, professional women that choose to stay home, also struggle with that feeling.
Is it the fact that before your potential could be seen by other people, or is it mainly a personal feeling of missing out on that potential?
Both. I did
Really?
want the outside accolades. I did want somebody telling me I was doing a good job. Um, you know, that's another one of those embarrassing things to admit that
It's
you,
it's a real thing.
yeah.
I yeah. I mean, I don't think it's uh I think because people are social creatures and we strive to help other people. I mean, motherhood itself, just like you said, is a type of service.
Mm.
And to have accolades for that, I don't think is strange because you're working all day long to help make sure that the house stays afloat along with everybody inside it. It's very complicated. And yeah, wanting
It
to have
is.
some accolades for that is not out of the ordinary.
It was very hard. The question I say that I hated the most was, what do you do? What do you do for a living? Or what do you do?
Mhm.
You know, with my husband being in entertainment, we're still going to events, you know, high profile events. And I just cringed when somebody would ask me that. It just felt like nobody really cared what I had to say anymore. You know, I didn't
Mm.
have a perspective that was valued anymore. Um, and I think that's kind of one of those. I'm going to speak for stay-at-home moms because that's where I'm coming from. But I think it's kind of one of those stay-at-home mom, I don't want to say traps, but things that happen to you where you're not don't have people maybe don't feel like you have anything to offer. I I don't
Which
know
is
if it
strange. No,
I
I
it's
I get it. It's strange because stay-at-home moms or just moms in general that raise children, they are
mhm.
doing probably the most important job of society. But
Oh,
it
right.
almost feels like it's expected and they sort of blend into the background or become invisible. And I don't know. I That's why I think this is free that transition is a tough one. And
Mhm.
I mean, hats off to you to be able to make that transition and to be able to speak about it honestly. So when you're talking about mindfulness, then how do you suggest, especially for because nowadays more women than ever are have careers, graduating from university, um, they're educated. How do you suggest somebody transition to be a stay-at-home mom, still maintaining that mindfulness? What are the suggestions you usually give for women?
um well, I would say that you know, getting in touch with yourself, and maybe you have never done that because you've been so busy doing all the things, checking off all the things that you're supposed to do, and things maybe that you wanted to accomplish. You know, I want to go to college, I want to get a bachelor's degree, I want to make, you know, get a career where I make this much money, I want to, you know, do all of these things. And then if you do decide to be a stay-at-home mom, recognize that there is going to be a period of discomfort. Like I said, I was not prepared for it. I understand what happened now looking back, but, and I don't know if it wasn't people just didn't talk about it or what, but I was not prepared for that. Um, I would suggest the slow, cultivating happiness, first of all. And
Mhm.
the way that I do that is by trying to be more present, paying more attention to all of the little things that are great. I think that you get so busy doing all of the stuff, just, you know, all the tasks that you have to do, that you kind of, things just kind of blur into the background. And being intentional about pausing and acknowledging and recognizing all of the great things that are a part of your life, um, is a
Like
great.
a gratitude list or something like that?
Yes, I mean, you could do that if that's your style.
Mhm.
Walking, when you're walking, to look at the sky and think, look at what I have, this beautiful background that I have for my walk.
Mhm.
Just having that moment where you think that, and the layering of having grateful feelings on a regular basis makes for feeling better. a
Yep.
general feeling of happiness, that it's just that regular practice. So I would say start with foundation of building your joy in the situation that you have now, and then start to figure out what it is that makes you happy. If that's through, if you need to quiet your mind through meditation, if
Mhm.
I read a lot of self-help books, it's really looking for that, information, reaching out for it, making a conscious effort to find that, because obviously you don't have all the information. And if you're struggling, then you need to put forth some effort to try and figure it out. And you deserve the effort involved in that.
Yeah. Actually, it takes it that process takes a lot of maturity, especially and I like what you're talking about with mindfulness, finding out what makes you happy. I think up to that point in a lot of people's lives, you're going to school, your purpose in school is to get good grades and then to be able to get that job. And it always feels like you're working for somebody else.
Mhm.
And trying to find out who you are and what kind of things motivate you. That's, not a lot of people spend that time to just sit there and think. I think that uh, just like you started a blog, being able to write some things down and try and learn about yourself,
Mhm.
I think that's valuable for anybody. I'm a big advocate for journal writing. I write in a journal, not not really for other people. Although I think one day my kids are going to read it, hopefully, and find something of value from it. But it I feel like it is definitely something that helps you maybe take two steps back and look at your day or your week or however often you write, and just sort of think about things that you learn from it, good and bad. Hopefully you can grow from it. So
Mhm. Because really you are, like you said, you're always, a lot of times you're just focusing on the thing that takes you to the next step, that takes you to the next step, the next, and it's not a usual
it's not
practice.
normal life actually
No.
too.
And but like you said that your children might read it, that's why I started sharing my essays and things, because I thought if I'm feeling this way, somebody else is too. And
Mhm.
maybe it'll help them spark a thought, or help them see that A, they're not the only ones feeling this way, and B, see somebody else working through it, and that it takes time to work through it. Um, and I was hoping that it could be something for another mom to just be seen, heard, understood, because I
Mhm.
didn't feel that I was seen, heard, understood.
Yeah. And that's a tough one. And you
Yeah,
people want to want to know that somebody else is going through something similar. But
it
you
is.
also, even though you're a stay-at-home mom, you started getting that entrepreneurship bug, is that right? And
I did.
so how did that come about? And then what kind of things did you do?
Um, so I had wanted, another issue with being a stay-at-home mom is not making your own money. This was a really big mind trip for me. It made me feel like I had to ask. It made me feel like I was a bit of a burden, like I'm just using up resources. So for a long time, I was wanting to find a way to make some money. But I also didn't want to just do something. I mean, I had decided that I am here and I wanted to give my all to my children. If I was going to do something, it needed to be purposeful to me, meaningful to me. I didn't need to work. Um, and so it took me a while to find the vehicle for me. Obviously, I've just been keeping at it. And what
Mhm.
finally came to me was putting together kind of my past and my present. I created, and this is going to sound very stay at home mom, but a reusable grocery bag. I designed it to be it's like a floppy, like a floppy reusable, bag that you can roll up and they're small. I loved those when I had my
Those are
kids.
really useful too, because you can squeeze them and put them in a big bag, and then you can pull them out and all of a sudden they're big and you can hold a ton of stuff in them.
I use them for everything. And especially in New
Yep.
York, I would hang them. We didn't have a car. I mean, my husband had the car, but I walked and went on the subway, and I would hang them from the stroller. We would put wet bathing suits in there. I just used them for everything. I loved them, except for when I went grocery shopping. They did not work very well for me because everything kind of, just falls in on each other.
Mhm.
So I designed one that had a removable hard bottom. It
Hmm.
was actually, I had gotten some takeout ramen, and in my takeout ramen bag, they had a little piece of cardboard on the
Yeah, I've
bottom of
seen
the
those.
bag
Yeah. That's
so
brilliant,
that
right?
so that the items could stay sturdy on there. And I was like, well, this is a perfect idea. Why this would work for the groceries. I can stack my cans on there and everything so it wouldn't all fall into each other. So I started designing this. And then the part of me that came from the fabulous world of celebrities and celebrity favorites and all of that, my my trendy friends were not as into the sustainable swaps as I was. They want something cute, they want something, trendy and attractive. And so
Yep.
I kind of combined the two so that I thought, well, how can we I'm already sustainably minded. I'm, a holistic person. All of that, that's all me. But I thought, how can we get more people who aren't like me to maybe get a little bit interested? And a reusable grocery bag is a great way to start. That's an easy entry point. That's something simple that somebody could buy. And sure, let's start there. So I just started trying to figure out how you even get a product made. Then I took a class. It was actually a sustainable brand accelerator program. I enrolled myself in a class and just started figuring it out. I, you know, uh, got
Where
myself.
do you find these classes? Because you did
Oh
a nutrition class
yes,
about being able to cook vegan food. And
yes.
are these all at just local colleges or something, or things
The
online? Or
the Health Supportive Cooking was actually a school. It's no longer there anymore. It's so sad, but it's a school in New York. They are now transitioned to ICE, which is Institute of Culinary something, which is it's a big culinary school right now. So they have been like absorbed, but it was an actual physical school. I would wake up in the morning. This was the first time that I actually got babysitters for the children, because I would get up, early in the morning, take the subway to class, to my school, and be there all day, and then, the subway back. But my sustainable program, that was an online program. I am a researcher. My first website, I would watch tutorials on YouTube and pause it, do my little work, unpause, and just figure it out. Because again, not having money of my own, I didn't want to be spending the money. I felt guilty about that. So it really just had to be me figuring it out and accepting that it might take me a little bit longer because I was figuring it out, and because if my kids needed something, I was just going to pause. I was just going to pause on the work and be there for them, because this is why I'm here, and I want to be here. They're here for 18 years. I have arranged my life to be here for them. So, if it's going to take me a little bit longer, so be it. But really, it's about a burning desire, a motivation, internal motivation. To just figure it out. If I took one step forward, two step forward, one step back, just to keep moving forward. Maybe I wouldn't get it exactly right, but that's okay. I got a little further. So it was really, I Googled things. I found it. I don't even know how I found it. My big searches, just found the thing that I needed next. That's really what it is. Just finding the thing that I needed next.
so was there an overall goal with being an entrepreneur, or was it mainly just to have a little extra money, or what was your main focus there?
So my goal really is to build something that can be mine after my children graduate and are leaving. My mom was very upset and went through this whole identity thing after we left for college, because her identity was about being a mom. And she hadn't taken the time to figure out it's almost like we're going through this together, because she hadn't taken the time to figure out what she personally was about and wanted, and set anything up for herself for, the second act is what I hear it's called, when your kids are gone and you have you're still young enough to have a second act. And so I wanted to, and that is another reason why it's okay to me for things to take a little bit longer, because I want it's seeds that I'm planting for my second act, so that when they're done, I have something that I have created for me that I can grow as big as I want. So yeah, it's a very intentional plan. I'm a planner. It was a very intentional plan to give myself a gift of purpose. Yeah.
Wow. So this is all, actually, I think this is a really healthy thing to think about. A lot of people just are sort of planning for today. If you're a mom, you're just planning for, maybe summer break or
Right.
winter break or something like that. But there definitely is that, there are transitions that you're mentioning, that transition from professional to mother, and then you're already planning for when you're not that you're no longer a mother, but when the kids are no longer next to you. uh that's a really important thing to think about. I know I've seen that transition be very difficult for
Very.
a lot of people. It's a real thing, because your identity for so many years is wrapped up in your children, good or bad. I think it's good, but
Mm,
um, that's a struggle when that's gone. And a
It's
lot of
true.
them are just waiting around for grandchildren, like, please have grandchildren so I can become like a grandma. But
Have another
there's more.
purpose.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It, it, I don't want to stop being a stay-at-home mom. My kids are 13 and 15. So,
Mhm.
it's the next
You're in the
years are,
middle of it. You're in the thick of
yeah,
it right now.
I'm in some deep stuff right now. But it's gonna go by fast.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I've seen lots of moms that just didn't know what to do with themselves, and then felt so regretful that they didn't. What if I had just tried this or pursued that, or just had faith in themselves or invested in themselves? And I think regret fuels me a lot, because I just don't want to look back on I don't want to look back on my life and be upset that I was stressed. So there's the mindful and being present and grateful and practicing the gratitude. It's something that you have to intentionally do, so that I had, an atmosphere of happiness. And like I said, these are, you're making your memories. You're living the memories that you're going to have.
Mhm.
But I also wanted to give myself a shot. If I don't give myself a shot, I don't know that I can live with that regret. If I gave it my all and, you know, it didn't go the way I wanted it to, I am still going to be trying to enjoy every step of the way. This is, even as I'm building all of this, I am still I get stressed. Okay, all right, it's stressful, but can you find some fun in it? Like, is it sort of fun? You know, did you like
Being an
this?
entrepreneur is not an easy path.
It's not.
It is not. And throw being a mom on top of that is just not an easy way to go.
No, that is why it's so important to me to try to find the joy in everything that I do, because otherwise, what are you doing? It's all just gonna, at the end, this is what you have, the life that you're leading right now and the memories that you're making. So
Well,
it's
it feels like you've been very honest with yourself. I know
mhm,
that sounds weird, but sometimes people will sugarcoat different things. and you're honest about what it's like to be a stay-at-home mom. You're honest about what it's like to also think about what it that loss that happens when you've lost your career, and then you've also lost you're already planning for when your children are gone
Yeah.
from you. And so that's very honest. A lot of I feel like a lot of young people maybe sugarcoat a lot of things. They don't recognize, hey, maybe you should plan ahead, and there probably are going to be some hardships as well. So plan for that, and you'll land on your feet, but don't take things so seriously.
Yeah. And you don't have to obsess over it. It's the
Mhm.
planting seeds. Just like I said,
Yeah.
just keep moving in the direction. And that's the thing too, is that once you figure out, it might take a little while to figure out what it is that you like. I started volunteering. I'm a volunteer at the animal shelter still. I volunteer once a week at the animal shelter.
Wow.
I became the
You're
PTA
busy.
president. There are things that are meaningful to me, and I'm not willing to stop them. That is one of the things that is meaningful to me and fills me up. Um,
Mhm.
but once you start figuring out what it is like that brings me joy, it's an act of service that brings me joy, and you know the general direction that you want to go. You may not know exactly what it is that you want, but if you know what direction to head in, then you're getting closer. Then you're always getting closer, and you don't have to obsess about knowing exactly what the end result is going to look like. It's about knowing how you want to feel. I think that's really what guides me the most, is how I want for my life to feel.
So what kind of advice do you give to maybe a young woman, just maybe starting college or almost finishing it, starting her career out? Do you say, well, I mean, what kind of advice do you have for that person?
For a young woman starting out, I would say do the things that you like to do.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of times you are there's things that you think you're supposed to do, like, oh, I should study this because that's the right thing to study. But do you like that? Like, what is it that makes you excited?
Right.
Because there's going to be so many things in life that are going to be heavy and hard and frustrating. Um, and if it's your job, or if this is the time you're putting in to invest into your future and yourself, start start doing the things that you like and get good at those things. You can make money all different ways. There's so many different ways. Find the category that brings you alive and do more of that. I mean, I did all the things I needed to do to get my bachelor's degree. There are
Mhm.
some things that you just need to check off. That it doesn't mean just throw that to the wind. I would say
Right.
do more things that bring you joy and try to learn about those things that excite you.
Do you recommend that girls also plan for motherhood, or when they'll eventually have children into their career? Is that something that you recommend as well?
I don't know. That's a hard question.
Mhm.
I think about my daughter and what I would tell her. I think it's just such a personal choice. It's about your personal composition, the way that you're wired, um, what you value, the way that your life is set up. There's so many variables, I think. I think it's a good idea. I would say that this is why I'm setting up for after children, is because I felt so blindsided when I left my job to become a stay-at-home mom, and I just don't want to feel that same being blindsided and just lost. So I would say to them to recognize that when you become a mom, that you're going to have some identity shifts.
Mhm.
Maybe you're going to decide, or you just don't know how you're going to react until you're in that space. People talk about parenthood. Oh, I'm never going to let my child do that, or oh, I can't even believe. And then you get there and you're like, oh, okay, I
Yeah,
understand why they
I've
do
totally
that.
done that. Oh man, embarrassing actually. How ignorant you are until you have your own kids.
It's just true. So I would say just be prepared for there being a shift and a reconfiguration of your priorities.
And for stay-at-home moms, do you recommend that they also look for maybe other opportunities in their life, or do you, or at least prepare, or is that something that you feel like wait until you're ready for that? Or I don't know, what would you say to a stay-at-home mom just had maybe a couple of kids
Yes.
and they're young still, but you have teenagers now and you're already thinking about the next steps beyond when they're teenagers.
Yeah. I think it goes in phases. I think that at first you don't have as much free time. You know, when they're little, you're needed a lot. And to be okay with that and um, immerse yourself in that and enjoy it as much as you can, because you're going to look back at the pictures and be like, where did my baby go? Oh, I
Those pictures
miss
are great.
him.
I love those
Oh,
pictures.
where did he go? So
Yep.
try and be there as much as you can, and it's okay. Like, just allow these couple of years to just be there. It's okay. You don't have to be thinking about doing something. And then as they go to school. There start to be more opportunities for you to invest in yourself. I would just start doing things. If you feel like you need more socializing, you need some friends, find some activities to do. I like volunteering, that just makes me feel, that fills me. And especially when I'm stressed, doing something outside of myself that's not focused on me is very helpful. You stop thinking about all your own stuff, and it's almost just like a break. You can be of service. So I would definitely say that as the phases start moving, start giving yourself more consideration.
Mhm.
Start putting yourself in the mix a little bit more and thinking about things that are just for you. And I think that is important, that you're doing things that are just for you and thinking about yourself, and also developing yourself, growing. That was something that I thought was so important. It's like the seeds that you're dropping. Keep learning stuff. This is what I say, what you're interested in. Keep learning, keep pursuing, keep growing yourself, because you just don't know what's going to be later on and where that's going to help you. Everything you do enriches you, gives you more tools for the next thing that's coming. And I also like to be ready. I may be ready before the moment comes type of person. Prepare yourself, and then when the moment comes, you're ready.
Mhm.
So I would also say that to them. Just keep enriching yourself.
I like that. And I think I hear from a lot of women that, oh, I need to do all of these things before I have kids because after I have kids, I'm never going to be able to do. And people still live after they have children.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
my wife, she got a master's degree after we had kids and ran triathlon and marathons. So and she had never thought about doing that before children. But after children, she said, well, I have to do something else
Yes,
with my
something
mind,
else.
or I'm just going to feel like I'm going a little bit crazy just talking to a baby. So
That is it. And not only that, but what a beautiful example to your children about how you treat yourself, about what life can look like, about pursuing things that you're interested in, about self motivation. All of these things that you do for yourself and are great examples for your children. Being a stay-at-home mom, it's such a traditional role, but I didn't want, especially for my daughter, to think that being a stay-at-home mom means that you put yourself on the bottom and that you just do things for everybody else, or that you no longer pursue things that you're interested in. I wanted her to see that you keep doing stuff, you keep enriching yourself, you keep pursuing things that interest you. um it's not about you sacrificing your life for everyone. So
Mhm.
the example that you offer your children by continuing to tend to yourself is a gift as well. That's for them also.
Awesome.
Remembering
Wow.
that, maybe you feel so guilty about it.
No. So, what is your blog, or how do people follow you?
Okay, my blog is mysourcelife.com. I'm on Instagram, on Facebook. All my other things sprout from there, but that's my hub, mysourcelife.com.
And they can find your floppy bags there.
Yep, they can see. I have a little a link to my other Instagram. They can go to my Instagram or my website. It's mslbags.com. So that's refers to My Source Life Bags, MSL bags.
Oh,
Yes,
MSL. I like that.
My Source Life is the hub of all of it. It's me, and yeah, everything springs from there.
Awesome. Wow. Well, Natalie, thanks for sharing some of your experiences. I think probably more than a few people are going to be able to definitely connect with your point of view. So thanks a lot. And thanks everyone for sticking around and listening to this. I hope that you enjoyed it. This was a lot of fun. And if you want to hear more from our Vital Signs podcast, you can check them out again on our Sunrider YouTube channel and Facebook page, and also wherever podcasts are available. All right. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Bye. This is Dr. Ruben Chen, and I'll see you next time.